When I think about the phrase showing someone what they want to watch, most people would assume I'm talking about a movie, a television series, or maybe even a game on TV. But for me, those words became something far more meaningful, something that connected me with someone I deeply cared about in a way that changed the rhythm of my family forever. My name is Emily Parker. I grew up in a small suburban town in Ohio, where families knew each other's names, kids played outside until the streetlights came on, and neighbors shared sugar and flour when groceries ran out. My family wasn't perfect. We had our share of misunderstandings, silences that lasted longer than they should have, and old wounds that hadn't healed. But beneath it all, there was love. At least, that's what I always believed. The heart of this story is about my younger brother, Daniel. Daniel was 2 years younger than me, and from the time we were little, he had always been the quiet one. Where I was loud, outgoing, and constantly seeking attention, Daniel preferred to sit on the porch with a book or stay in his room sketching pictures in his notebook. He had this way of observing life, almost as if he were waiting for the right time to join in. And when he did, he surprised you with the depth of his thoughts. But as we got older, especially in high school, our paths began to separate. I joined the cheerleading squad, threw myself into social events, and surrounded myself with people. Daniel, on the other hand, became even more reserved. He wasn't unpopular, he was just unnoticed. Teachers liked him, classmates respected him, but he wasn't the type to draw attention to himself. Our parents, Susan and Michael Parker, worked hard to provide for us. Mom was a nurse, often working late shifts at the hospital, while Dad ran a small auto repair shop downtown. They were good parents, but like so many others, they sometimes missed the subtle cracks forming in the foundation of our family. The real shift happened when Daniel turned 16. I remember coming home one day to find him sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the television. It wasn't even turned on. His sketchbook sat beside him, untouched. I sat down next to him and nudged his shoulder. "You okay?" I asked. He glanced at me and gave a half smile, the kind people give when they're trying not to worry you. "Yeah, just tired, I guess." But I could feel something in the air. He wasn't just tired. Something was weighing on him. Over the weeks that followed, I noticed him retreating even more. He stopped drawing as much, stopped hanging out with the few friends he did have, and spent long hours locked in his room. One night, I overheard my parents talking in the kitchen. "Michael, I'm worried about him," Mom said softly. "He doesn't eat with us anymore, he hardly talks. This isn't just being a quiet kid. This feels different." Dad sighed. "I know, but maybe it's just a phase. You know how teenagers are. We shouldn't push too hard." But I couldn't shake the feeling that Daniel needed more than patience. He needed someone to notice him, to really see him. The turning point came on a rainy Saturday afternoon. Mom was at work, Dad was busy at the shop, and the house was unusually quiet. I decided to go into Daniel's room, even though he usually hated when I barged in. He was sitting at his desk, laptop open, but he wasn't typing. He was staring at the screen, his eyes glassy. I gently placed a bowl of popcorn on his desk and sat on the edge of his bed. "Wanna watch something?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. He looked at me like I had just spoken another language. "With me?" "Yeah, with you," I said, smiling. "Pick whatever you want. Doesn't matter if it's a movie, a documentary, a game replay, whatever. I'll watch it with you." His lips curved into a small, uncertain smile. "You'll probably be bored. Try me." He hesitated, then clicked a file on his laptop. The screen lit up with a black and white film. It wasn't anything I had ever seen before. No superheroes, no explosions, no rom-com tropes. Just an old, slow-moving movie about a family in the 1940s. I'll admit it, I didn't understand half of what was happening. The dialogue felt heavy, the pace was slow, and the storyline seemed simple. But I didn't look away. I watched Daniel instead. I watched the way his eyes lit up when a character delivered a powerful line, the way he leaned forward when the music swelled, the way he seemed completely alive in that moment. When the credits rolled, I said, "That was different, but I kind of liked it." He chuckled. "You don't have to pretend." "I'm not pretending. I like seeing you like that. I said honestly. You looked happy. Something softened in his expression. I didn't think anyone would want to watch this stuff with me. That's when I realized it. This wasn't about the movie. It was about being seen. Daniel didn't need someone to fix him or give him advice. He needed someone to sit beside him and value the things that mattered to him. So I showed him exactly what he wanted to watch, and I didn't hold back. Every weekend, I made it our ritual. Sometimes it was an old film, other times it was a documentary or even a foreign language drama with subtitles. We'd sit in his room with bowls of popcorn or chips, sometimes talking afterward about what we thought, sometimes sitting in comfortable silence. And slowly, Daniel began to open up. He started showing me his sketches again, beautiful pencil drawings of characters, settings, and scenes that looked like they had stepped right out of the films we watched. He told me about how he dreamed of being a filmmaker one day, about how he wanted to tell stories that made people feel less alone. You should go for it, I encouraged him. You have so much talent. He shook his head. No one would take me seriously. And Dad, he wants me to take over the shop someday. Then show him, I said firmly. Show all of us. Don't hold back. That phrase stuck with him. Don't hold back. And for the first time in years, I saw my brother come alive. Months passed, and our bond deepened. My friends didn't understand why I suddenly stopped going out on Saturday nights as much, but I didn't care. What I had with Daniel felt more important. One night, he said quietly, "Thanks for watching with me. I know it sounds dumb, but I don't feel invisible anymore." Tears stung my eyes. You were never invisible to me, Daniel. I just needed to remind you of that. The journey wasn't always easy. Our parents didn't understand at first why Daniel was spending so much time drawing and watching films instead of focusing on practical goals. Dad especially worried. But when I showed him some of Daniel's sketches and explained how talented he was, something shifted in him too. By the time Daniel graduated high school, he had applied to film school, something I don't think he would have had the courage to do if we hadn't spent those nights together, watching what mattered to him. Looking back now, I realize that the simple act of showing up, of saying, "I'll watch what you want, I won't hold back my time, my patience, or my presence," made all the difference. It wasn't about movies, it was about love, family, and being seen for who you are. And that's the story of how I showed him exactly what he wanted to watch, and how in return, he showed me what it truly means to love someone without holding back.